Hi and welcome back. In the last few videos we've gone ahead and gotten started getting used to using Expression Web. We've created this simple sample website and learned how to add some content and do some basic things with Expression Web. At this point we're going to go ahead and begin to work with our main project for this series. But before we begin that, I want to go ahead and clean up the old information that we placed in here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete index, about, contact. I'm going to delete the images that we placed in the images folder, and there shouldn't be anything in JavaScript or CSS right now. So we're back to just a plain empty site. And then I'm going to right click up here, select new and HTML, and I'm going to create two HTML pages. One I'm going to call main.html, and the other is I'm going to call it index.html. And this is going to be the page that we're going to create the sample layout on. And then obviously index is going to be our home page. And once we're finished with our page layout, we're going to apply that to the index page. But for right now, you should just have these three folders: CSS, images, and JavaScript or JS. Images should be empty, and you should have two HTML pages, main and index.html. Now, taking a look at the project that we have here, I'm going to bring it up inside of Google Chrome, and you can see the basic layout of the page that we're going to create and the site we're going to create. Now, there's going to be three distinct stages in developing this website. And keeping those distinct stages separated from one another and focusing on just the task at hand is going to be really essential to successfully completing any web project, but especially getting through with this exercise. One of the things that's most difficult is when you're creating a web page and you aren't really following a method, but you're just sort of stream of consciousness doing whatever comes into mind next. And that's always going to be a bad idea. You always need to have a plan. Now, in this case, the plan is going to be made a lot simpler because we have a design that we're going to follow here. I've already created this web page. If you are creating your own design, you're going to still need a plan to follow. And what that means is you need to have a good, firm idea in your mind of what it is you want to create before you actually create the site. So the first thing that I always tell people to do when they're starting off creating a website is don't worry about the design at all. What you should be worried about is the content that you want the site to deliver to your visitors. So you want to get together all the text, all the content, all the pictures, all the tables of information. All that content you want to gather together and have ready before you ever begin working on your website. And what that's going to allow you to do is think through what it is you want your website to deliver to your visitors. In turn, you're going to be able to identify the different pages that you're going to need in your website. In this case, in this website, you might think, okay, we're obviously going to need a home page with like an introduction, welcome message, and just the primary information we would want a visitor to see right when they come to our website. We might have another collection of information about our company, another page that has information about our products, another about our services, and then finally a contact information page. But unless you've gathered all that information up, you're not going to know how to organize the content. So step one is going to be gathering your content. Step two is going to be thinking through how you want to organize your content on your actual site. And again, this is important whether it's a small site like what we have here, we only have 5 pages of information, or it's even more important if you have a website that's going to have 20, 30 or more pages inside of it. So you need to have a good idea of the content that you want your site to deliver. After you've done that, you can figure out, okay, this is what I want my layout to be. This is the way I want my site to actually look. Now, again, in this case, I actually have a design laid out here, so it's very easy for us to follow this model. But again, if this is a web project that you're working on, you're going to need to do the exact same thing. Now, you're not going to obviously create the website and then recreate the website, but you can do this a couple of different ways. One is a good old-fashioned pad of graph paper. Get some graph paper and sketch out where you want the different elements to go. Sketch out, okay, here's the top section, and here's where my logo is going to go, and here's where my social media icons are going to go, and then there's where my top navigation is going to go, and my banner and my sub banner, and here's how the content and the sidebars are going to look. So just sketching that out on graph paper, you don't need any artistic talent here. All you're doing at this point is identifying, okay, here are the major divisions, or here are the major locations where the different elements of my site are going to go. You need to know where it is you want to arrive at so that you can accurately plot your course to getting there. And again, good old-fashioned graph paper works really well with that. Some people, and most designers, start off there. They start off with either a sketch pad or some graph paper, and they sketch different designs out. And then they maybe take it a step further and go into Photoshop or Fireworks and actually create a graphic mock-up of the way the site is going to look. They add the images in. And depending on how good you are in either Photoshop, Fireworks, or another graphics program, that may work for you. But again, that graph paper sketch is, for a lot of cases, all that you're going to actually need. And once you've actually gathered all your content together and your images and all that, you're going to be able to visualize a lot of this in your mind. So the graph paper layout may be enough for you. So you always need to know your content that you're going to deliver, how you want to organize that content, and then you can work on, okay, here's the layout of my actual page. Now, once you have all those things done, you're ready to begin the process of actually setting up your website. And that's also going to have 3 steps inside of it. The first step is going to be laying out the HTML structure for your page. The second step is going to be adding the content, the text, the images, the links, all that good stuff to your HTML structure. And the third step is going to be creating the CSS style sheet that styles or lays out or formats all the content on your page. And by far, the CSS portion is going to take you the longest and is the most detailed. But the first 2 are just absolutely essential. And again, unless you've taken the time to really think your website through, and it's like, what content do I want to deliver and how do I want to organize that content, that's going to make these other steps a lot easier. So again, we've got a model to follow here. Now, if you want to download this completed project and the framework that I'm going to use to create the completed the project that we're working on, you can go to my website. There's a link in the description where you can download that material. But you don't actually need to download this material. As we go through the different lessons, you're going to see all the code that you're going to need to type in. And I will give you the dimensions for the images so you can go out and find or create your own images and whatnot for the different parts of the website. So the framework and completed site are there for you if you want them. If not, you're just going to need to type in all the information and create the different images. So again, 3 different steps we're going to follow. First, we're going to lay out the HTML structure. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to add the content to the HTML structure. And the third thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up the CSS for our page. Now, if you've downloaded the framework and the exercise, the completed exercise for this, the next thing you should do is add the images to your site. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize the preview here, and I'm also going to minimize Expression Web, and you can see here I'm on my desktop right now. And again, when you download, if you download the material, you're going to need to have access to the main framework folder. You should have access to the completed version of the project, and then also the images that we're going to use in this project. And again, if you haven't downloaded all this, you don't need to. This is just a way of speeding things up for you and helping you check your work. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to go ahead and open up this images folder right here. And I want to go ahead and select all of the images that are in here by just doing Control A. And then I'm going to right click and copy. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this. And then I'm going to go ahead and go into the working copy, my local site folder, and go into images. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste that content in there. And again, these are just going to be the images. There are some extra images in here as well that we're going to use for this site. So I'm going to go ahead and close that off. And that's all you need to do to begin working on this project. In the next video, we're going to start that first step, the laying out of our HTML for our page. So I'll see you in the next video.